Back again. It's the Sports Afterparty podcast with your host Jezza and A for the B. A for the B, how you doing, my guy?
I'm feeling good, man. Currently in the process of packing up, moving out of my place this weekend. So going through that process, it's going to be the last episode doing it in West London. So a bit emotional, but also feeling good about it. And I'm also traveling stateside next week. So looking forward
LA bound, right?
LA bound, bro. Going to be LA.
Okay.
Yeah, looking forward to it. How you feeling, man? How are you doing? You just came back.
I'm good. I just came back from the stateside, so I'm a little bit jet lagged, but we're all good, bro. We're all good. But we're also joined by a very, very, very special guest today. Young Ads, how we doing, bro?
Good, bro. Good. Thanks for having me on, guys, man. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, Jez, I feel like we have to acknowledge, before we even obviously, we have to acknowledge that we've got two guys engaged on the call today. I feel like we need to show love. Two lover boys. I'm trying to be like both of you one day.
Thank you.
So shout out to the two lover boys engaged this year. We love to see it. Beautiful love, guys. Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
We thank God.
Appreciate it, man.
So yeah, thank you, Afo. Thank you. It's nice to be in that spot. But we brought Adam on not just only because he got engaged, but because he is another sports fanatic like ourselves. I know, Adam, like myself, you played a bit of NFL back in the day. American football at university. People get upset when you call it NFL, but it's a little bit like MMA. Like everyone calls that shit UFC, but
yeah.
But obviously, a big Arsenal fan, as you said. So we've got a lot of topics that we need to dive into today. Definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Afo,
let's run the people through what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. So obviously, I think with Adam, playing American football, he didn't only just play at uni. When he finished uni, he also played. I think he played for Hertfordshire. So we'll talk on that. We'll talk about the American football. We'll talk about NFL. We'll talk about Arsenal, with him being an Arsenal fan. What he feels about the Champions League formats. How he feels about Arsenal. Is it early doors or are Arsenal screwed? Is it the end of the season? And I think also with the Jake Paul fight this weekend with Mike Tyson, last weekend with Mike Tyson, there's a lot of chat at the moment if it was fixed, if it's a problem. So I think we should talk about that a little bit. I feel like Jez and I have difference of opinions on that. And what was the other thing we said we're going to talk about? And then I think with John Jones, I think we should talk about the GOATs of sports as a whole. So John Jones fought last weekend as well. There's a lot of chat about him, if he should be fighting against Aspinall, who's the hot heavyweight at the moment. So yes, we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about LeBron, Jordan, and we're going to talk, of course, about Messi, Ronaldo. So yeah, man, let's get to it, Jez.
Let's get to it. So I think we should start off with let's start off with the combat sports today, lads, because we watched on the weekend one of the boxing GOATs, who's widely considered one of the most fearsome punchers in the history of the boxing, the heavyweight division, is Iron Mike Tyson, and he came into the ring against a glorified YouTuber. And you know what? I'm going to give Jake Paul some credit. He's had a couple of fights recently against, Nate Diaz, Anderson Silva. So these are people with some combat experience, but obviously they're not boxers and they're not people at the same age or weight as him. So this time he decided to step it up against a 67-year-old.
I want to say 68.
Was he 68 in the form of Iron Mike?
Damn, that's old. You know what I mean? Who is it that says he was speaking to someone here? He was talking about
Kevin Hart.
age.
Kevin Hart.
Yeah, Kevin Hart. Yeah, Kevin Hart was like, damn.
Yeah.
That's old.
So yeah, bro, that's what happened. So we had a 67-year-old against a 27-year-old, and obviously the 27-year-old came out on top. Mike Tyson managed to last the 8 rounds. I watched it myself live, and I was not too impressed about the whole occasion. So let's just throw it out there. Afo, what do you think of the event? What do you think of the fight? Should Mike Tyson have been in there?
Okay, so for me, I think, I've said for a while, I think it's good for boxing that we've got the YouTubers involved because the viewership is going up, it's bringing more eyeballs to the sport. For me, I didn't stay up to watch it, but I watched the highlights after. For me, I like the nostalgia aspect of it. Again, I wasn't watching when Mike Tyson was fighting. So for me, having the opportunity to see him in the ring, him having the whole persona, the whole aura, coming into the ring with the towel, I think he cuts up like a hole in a towel. So that whole energy and aura that he came with was, for me, very, very exciting. I feel as if he showed a bit of aggression at the beginning, but you can see that his legs were not its best, or they weren't what they used to be. So that was holding him back a little bit. There's a lot of chat at the moment if it was a fixed fight or if neither side were going to knock out the other person. But I feel as if with the way it was set up, Mike Tyson just had to show that he still had the skill, like he still was switched on, he worked hard for the fight. And Jake Paul probably recognized as well, it probably was not in his favor if he tried to knock out Mike Tyson, because I think it would have been a bad look for the YouTube boxing. It would have been a bad, PR-wise, it would have been bad for him as well. So I feel like they both just kind of exhibition fight, feel it out, enjoy it. And those moments, again, we saw moments from both of them. And for me, I was okay with it because I just did not want Mike Tyson to get injured. I didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't want him to get embarrassed. So for me, he left without getting injured. He left with 10, 20 M's in the bank account. And I feel as if it brought more attention to boxing. Like I think they broke the record as well in terms of viewership. So for me, I enjoyed it. I might be in the minority, but I enjoyed it. How about you, Jez? What are you saying?
Well, I did not enjoy it. I did not enjoy it. While I can remember catching the back end of Mike Tyson's career, so I remember him fighting Lennox Lewis, and Lennox Lewis was my guy, and that I just managed to catch that. That was like the last bit of Mike Tyson's career. Him in his prime, I never got to see that. But recently, I've been watching some Mike Tyson, videos and documentaries, and there was a Hulu show about him as well, which usually I would tell people to go watch that, but because he was not actually, he didn't receive any money from that show, so I was like, don't go watch it, but I did. I just thought it was very, very sad to see someone who is one of the GOATs of their sport trip down the aisle as he was making his ring walk. You could see he was on unsteady feet, and then go into the ring with someone who doesn't even deserve to be lacing his boots. Seeing that was disappointing for me. I thought it was upsetting for a lot of people who actually would have seen Mike Tyson in his pomp. But I understand that nowadays, this whole YouTube boxing scene or boxing scene or combat sports in general is just about spectacle. And these guys want to find a way of being able to create a spectacle for fans. Let them see something they've never seen before. And obviously, they did it in the Dallas Cowboy Stadium. It's one of the biggest and most high-tech stadiums in the world, and they sold it out, and record numbers on Netflix and everything. But actually, once you got out of the second round, Mike Tyson had nothing in him, and I think Jake Paul didn't want to embarrass. Yes, I think you're right. Jake Paul did not want to knock out Mike Tyson, and for me, that's only a cop out to the viewers from that perspective, because we went into this fight thinking, okay, this is going to be and they sold it as this as well. This is going to be a fight. This is going to be a sanctioned fight. This is on Mike Tyson's record. This is on Jake Paul's record. And the fact that somebody went in half-assed shows me that we were all sold wolf tickets, fake tickets to an event that was never actually going to be the event that we wanted. Did I want Mike Tyson to get hurt? Absolutely not. I'm glad he didn't. But do I feel like I got my money's worth? Well, I guess you didn't pay unless you paid for your Netflix subscription just for that event. But I guess it's a free event. I just expect more from such a big and live event. I don't want to be seeing these sort of exhibitions. But give us your perspective, not necessarily on the Tyson fight, but on this whole YouTube boxing scene and what Jake Paul's doing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the fight. Something about old legends coming back to the foray, in the current day of the sport, and playing that fine line between either embarrassing themselves or their name being in the headlights again. I think with Mike Tyson, I never really, like you said, Jeremy, I never really watched his prime. So for me, it was more of a case of like, I know Mike Tyson through like the legend, the tales, when you watch the videos, the documentaries on YouTube, hype videos. That's my knowledge of Mike Tyson. Personally, I've never really watched a live Mike Tyson fight. I think my earliest memory of Mike Tyson was the Lennox Lewis fights. I think that's about it. I think Jake Paul, as an entertainer, he's doing his thing.
Yeah.
I think he's built his portfolio of fights, whether that be, fake. A lot of people saying that they're fake fights, they're fixed fights. Obviously, he has to pick his opponents wisely. He's not going to go and pick a boxer in his prime. He's not going to go and pick Lomachenko or a Triple G or Canelo Alvarez. He wouldn't last one round with any of these guys, let's be honest. So he has to pick his fights wisely. I think him and his brother have like wrestling experience or wrestling backgrounds.
Yeah,
they were college wrestlers.
Something like that. Yeah, college wrestlers. So he has got fight experience. I don't think he's just come out of nowhere as a celebrity and, built up, this experience or started training like, how actors do when they train for fights and they then decide, okay, I'm going to get into the fight scene. So big respect to him. I can't lie. He's doing his thing, he's doing his thing. I think he's a bit like Marmite in the sense that whether you either hate him or you love him, I can't knock the hustle. Any man that can, garner attention and build a portfolio for themselves and actually benefit from that and still get in the ring, anyone who gets in the ring as well, that being the main thing. If you can get in the ring with anyone when they've got millions of eyes on you, then, big respect. Big respect. And I think Mike Tyson, from what it sounds like, hasn't embarrassed himself either. So he left with a bag. And I think that's what a lot of these fights are mainly about, getting a quick bag. What did you say he left with? Was it 12 mil?
Yeah, bro.
Nah, man. You ain't going to turn that down. I'm sure Mike Tyson's good with his money. I know he does a podcast, he probably still does appearances, probably has subscriptions, things like that people apply to. But 20 mil, you can't turn that down, man. And he walked away 20 mil and relatively still healthy.
Yeah.
So
look, I think
in a way he lost, but in a way he won.
Yeah, look, I think at the end of that fight, if you spoke to, if you look at the interviews that Mike Tyson took after the fight, he wasn't upset about the loss. He wasn't upset at all. He was like, look, I'm 67 years old. I managed to go 8 rounds with a young, up and coming in quotation marks boxer. He's not upset about it. He showed that he's still a big draw because look, Jake Paul is not getting that level of attention against anybody who's not named Mike Tyson unless he's fighting someone like Canelo. So look, I'm with you guys in terms of respect to Jake Paul for the hustle, respect to him for putting himself on the line in front of that many people, in front of Mike Tyson. I'm sure there would have been like a little bit of fear there in terms of, what if this 67-year-old catches me with a one bad boy shot, But he didn't look as if he was ever going to after the second round. Yeah. He looked old, he looked tired. So I'm just praying and hoping is that, Mike, you have an extra 20 million in the bank. You already have your podcast, you have your weed business. Bro, I've been to Amsterdam and I've seen Iron Mike Tyson weed. So he's doing well on that front. So look, let's just leave it there, Mike. Let's just leave it.
Yeah, it's a tough one though, because after the fight, he gave the impression that he's not going to stop there. So I think for me, the concerning thing is, would he try and fight another person his age, or is he looking to get another major, another young person influencer? Like, would he fight against his Jake Paul's older brother, so Logan Paul? So for me, that's my concern, is if he's looking for another bag. Hopefully, he just kind of enjoys it. He goes into the background, stays around boxing and YouTube boxing. Because for me, I like the fact that they had the undercard, and I forget the name of the two ladies that fought, but that was a really, really good fight on the undercard. And I think it highlights and brings more attention to women's boxing and boxing as a whole. So yes, maybe the boxing lovers don't like the YouTube side of things and the creator side of boxing, but it's bringing eyeballs to the sport. And yeah, that ultimately means more money, and more money means everybody gets the biggest slice of the pie.
Yeah, and bro, I think that's one of the good things about this, is that they brought some eyeballs to women's boxing. So Katie Taylor and versus Serrano, that was a great fight. I actually thought Serrano won that, but forget about the actual result. The fact that they managed to get those many eyes onto women's boxing alongside that spectacle, I think that's quite impressive. But look, let's not dwell too long on this. There was another fight on the weekend, though. there was another fight on the weekend, and I hope, Ads, you managed to watch this one because this was a special one. This was John Jones, the GOAT of MMA, versus Stipe Miocic. And you know what? We're not going to dwell too much on the fight because John Jones was incredible in that. He rolled back the years. He showed why he was so dominant at light heavyweight up in the heavyweight division. But I want to ask you guys, what makes a GOAT, all right? A GOAT of a sport? Because in MMA, John Jones is undefeated. He's unofficially undefeated because his one loss came from a disqualification of a 12-6 elbow, which is an elbow that goes directly down on the opponent from like a 12 to a 6 position, right? Which now that rule has been overturned. So he has one DQ loss on his record from that. But from your perspective, lads, what does it take to be a GOAT?
Chuck to Adam, you go, bro.
I think there's a number of factors, yeah? Like, without equating it too much to football, I'm trying to think holistically about this. I think achievements is one. Like, you look at the CV and you think, okay, what have they won? What are the honors they've won? Like, is it an MVP? Is it number of championships? Is it a number of Champions Leagues? Is it World Cups? Degree of difficulty is another one. Like, how hard was it for that person to get those achievements? Was it like a cakewalk? Did he have to get out of the mud? Was it one of them ones where, listen, some people, the journey's not the same for everyone, man, isn't it? Not everyone hustles the same. Like, some people have to get out of the mud, some people have to get a super team. In basketball, people talking about super teams, people saying like LeBron's one championship with Cleveland is better than 3 of KD's championships that he got with Golden State Warriors. People say
I would tend to agree.
I would personally agree with that because LeBron had to get out of the mud. You get what I'm saying? Like, there's different ways to look at it. Honors, degree of difficulty. What other challenges did they have to face outside of the sport as well? Great stories come with like Maradona, for example. Maradona has some stories outside of football that I don't know how much I can say. He had a drug issue apparently as well. He was involved with some gangsters outside of football. The guy partied hard and played harder. And I think that's what a lot of people like when it comes to GOATs as well. People like stories. It's not necessarily what they just did on the pitch, it's what they also do, off the pitch as well. Is a GOAT just a GOAT because of what they do in the sport, or are they a GOAT because of what they've also achieved outside of the sport?
Hey, I like that. Afo, how about yourself, bro? What do you think?
Something like that Adam mentioned there was about the difficulty of the challenge and getting to the title or whatever you want to call it. And I think when it comes to sport, a part of me always wonders, do people take everything into consideration, or do they just remember 4 titles, 5 titles? So someone like KD now, 30, 40 years from now, will they take it as KD's won 3? Was it 2 or 3? I think it's 3. Did KD win 3? Is it 3?
I think it's 2.
I think it's 2. I think it's
2 with Golden State. And I think
just
maybe
2.
3.
Golden State have won 2 without him. Because they won 1 before and then they won 1 after.
Yeah, he's a 2-time champ.
Yeah, so for me, I feel as if history will look at it as KD won 2, not he won with 2 Golden State. And maybe try and discredit it. So I feel like when it comes to sports, it's just about getting the results, making sure you get the win, making sure you get the trophy. Because down the road, people don't even remember that. You think about Charles Barkley, for example, who never won, and even though he's recognized as a very talented player, was one of the best in his era, but because he didn't win, immediately they try and disqualify him. I feel like people don't even mention him in the top 15 or top 20 players of all time.
Because he's not in the top 20 of all time.
Bro, I don't know. For me, because I'm pretty certain.
Sorry, he might be top. It might be 15 to 20. But he's definitely not top 15.
Well, and to be fair, again, I'm not even going to argue on that one because again, I'm not a massive Charles Barkley fan. Again, I think he was very, very good, but he's not someone that I put in as one of the top ones in NBA history. But I just feel as if with the way history tells a story, people never ever remember the full story. They just remember what happened at the end, which is where I feel when the conversation comes with John Jones, for example, the reason why we recognize as the GOAT is because of how consistent he was, how much fear he was able to put into his opponents. For me, being the GOAT is also dominance, man. Like when you're in the finals, when you're up against adversity and challenges, is how dominant are you throughout the whole period. So you think about Serena Williams, again, who's another one who didn't break the record in the end of most Grand Slams within women's tennis. But for me, it's still the GOAT because of just how dominant she was during that period. And another one, of course, is the whole Messi and Ronaldo. And I think for me, Messi has always been the superior talent. But there's just something for me about Cristiano Ronaldo where I appreciate the greatness of what he's done in multiple leagues. Again, his talent not being that of like Messi's, where Messi feels like God-given in a way and just kind of like special and unique in his own right. And which is why for me, I always find it hard to have that conversation with Messi and Ronaldo because I feel as if, how can you not have Messi as the greatest of all time? If you watch football, how can you not have him as the greatest of all time? But when you take it into consideration, for me, I have Ronaldo above Messi again in terms of when I look at the total package of what Ronaldo has had to overcome, what Ronaldo achieved. Yeah, for me, I appreciate that career as a whole.
Yeah. There's something you said there though that I need to dispel. Like, there's a narrative about Messi that is God given. That's not true, you know. It's really not true. Like,
have you seen the videos from when he was 10, 12, 13? But that's given from God.
No. Sorry, I just to cut you off there. If it's God given, then so what? It's God given. So that means that like if you're just naturally gifted, that's actually a plus in my opinion. To Messi's corner. Not I can definitely agree with you in saying that Ronaldo had to work harder. You can tell that from the guy's physique, the way his training videos, the leagues that he's been in. But I wouldn't hold that against Messi.
Hey, listen, I'm not even trying to hold it against Messi. Like, Messi is great. Again, I'm not even trying to do that. But I feel as if as time goes on, it's going to be easier to find Cristiano Ronaldo's and not Messi's. And that's what I mean in terms of God-given talent. Is that, yes, Messi has worked on his talent. Messi's accepted. But it's going to be very, very difficult. I'll be surprised if we see another talent like Messi in our lifetime. Whereas Cristiano Ronaldo, I think that is more likely to happen in our lifetime. So that's what I meant in terms of God-given talent, in that he's so unique. And who knows, maybe that should not be put against him. Maybe he should just be seen as one of one and he's just on a whole different level. Everything just kind of worked out for him. But for me, when you compare the two, Cristiano Ronaldo, I feel like you could see Messi. I don't know if we're ever going to see Messi again.
Yeah. The people said the same about Maradona, and then Messi came. There will be another one. Maybe not in our lifetime. Maybe in our lifetime, but you know, there's always someone that comes around, bro. Like, always someone that comes around.
One thing I want to not dwell too long on Messi, Ronaldo, but I would say that a similar player to Messi that came through is Neymar in terms of just God-given ability. But with Neymar, there was a lot of things that held him back. One of the things I think is mentality, and another thing I think is his injury record. I think he wasn't as consistently fit as a Ronaldo or a Messi. But I think like we have seen someone with that God-given talent, like similar to a Messi in the form of Neymar as well. But what I like about what you guys said in terms of that GOAT discussion is I think achievements do come into consideration. I think the level of difficulty comes into consideration, but then also I feel like there is something that's intangible about them, that it's like a certain mentality that they have that really puts them over the edge and over the top above their competition. So that's why when we come to for a very long time, I'll just quickly run through my GOATs like Afo did, and Adam, you can do yours as well. Right, cool. But when it comes to basketball, for me, for a very long time, it was Michael Jordan, but now it's LeBron.
That's the first time we're hearing breaking news.
For a very long time, it was Michael Jordan, now it's LeBron. NFL, Tom Brady. What's it called? In MMA, it's John Jones. In football, it's Messi. Again, it used to be Ronaldo, but then when Messi won the World Cup, I just had to put him there. Boxing, that's too difficult for me.
Who's your favorite? Who do you have?
Oh, like the whole myth and the whole story and magic behind Muhammad Ali just sounds so juicy. I've watched
Magical.
almost every single Muhammad Ali documentary, every single film about him, and it just blows your mind. Like, and then obviously what he did outside of the sport as well. When we talk about
That's what I'm saying.
yeah, but then I think I look at someone like Floyd, and I'm like 50-0. But the way people won't like me saying this, but the way Floyd constructed his career is he put all the dices in his favor. After his early days where he had to fight the competition to be considered where he was Money Floyd, but once he became Money Floyd, he started to handpick fights at the right time for him. So, bro, he fought Canelo at the perfect time. Canelo was a young and up and comer, and now his record Floyd kind of has Canelo's record now because everything Canelo has done since Floyd beat him kind of is like a tick to Floyd saying you did that. He fought Pacquiao at a very convenient time when everyone thought that Pacquiao had slowed down a bit because Pacquiao he wasn't picking fights in my opinion. Pacquiao was just fighting the next best guy, next best guy, next best guy. So by the time he got to Floyd, I feel like he was more battered than Floyd. So that's one of the reasons I struggle giving Floyd the GOAT. But there's like Sugar Ray Robinson, there's Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran. Boxing's really hard. I can't give you a singular one. Obviously tennis, it's Serena, and then from the male perspective,
that's an interesting. Yeah, well, I was gonna see who you were gonna say because that's a top.
I want to say, damn. This is simply because he's my favorite player.
I think I know what you're gonna say. But go.
I'm gonna say Rafael Nadal.
Oh, swear! I thought you were gonna say Roger Federer. You know,
I
was gonna say Roger Federer. Roger Federer was like that's my cup of tea when it comes to tennis.
Right.
That finesse.
The reason I love Nadal is because I'm less of a finesse guy. You know, I'm more of like
whack it.
Yeah,
just have to smash it. Just have to smash it.
And but one particular I just think is maybe the best record in the whole of sports. I think more impressive than Michael Jordan's six undefeated finals is Nadal's record on clay. I feel like that's better than the Undertaker's record at WrestleMania. That's better than LeBron. How many times he went to the final in the East?
Yeah.
For me, Nadal on clay is probably the most impressive thing in the whole of sports. So, yeah, obviously Tiger Woods in golf and the rest. But yeah, I agree with you, boys. Difficulty, achievements, accolades, and that intangible mentality. Adam, yours.
For me, when it comes to football, before Messi, I used to say Zidane. I love Zidane, bro. Ooh. Zidane was just like there's something about like you'll see there's a consistent theme with the type of GOATs and what I'm drawn to when it comes to sport. Like I mentioned Federer in tennis was the guy that I used to love watching. And anytime Federer's playing, I'm watching. Like finesse player. Zidane was before Messi was the Federer of football, in my opinion. So I don't want to say pre-Messi, everyone has their GOAT, has their favorite player before Messi. For me, Zidane was that. Just the way he played, just the way he moved around the pitch, his first touch, he's always a move ahead of other players. Like he was never and in big games as well. Like people sleep on it. Zidane in finals, his record was top. Like that '98 final against Brazil, the one Ronaldo missed out on, and it was like heavy news. He banged 2 headers. I think he scored 2 headers in that final, and they won 3-0. They beat Brazil 3-0 in that final, and then he scored that magic Champions League final goal against it was Bayer Leverkusen, that left-footed volley. And I think there was another final maybe for Real Madrid or Juve where he scored in another final. So his records finals, it's really solid. Outside of football, I'm gonna go with LeBron.
Sorry, Ads. Before you go outside of football,
yeah,
was there a period between Zidane and Messi you thought Ronaldo might be the GOAT, or you just were always certain that from was Messi? Because you remember there was a period where Ronaldo was World Player of the Year.
Wait, at United. At United. Now, even then, I still thought Messi was better than him.
Of course he did.
Even then, I still thought Messi was better than him. Even then. But objectively speaking, there was a period where I think, if we're still staying in football, there was a period where for 1 or 2 seasons, I thought Ronaldo, this guy might be next up. I objectively thought Ronaldo, looking at what he did at United, I think he scored over 40 goals that season, Ballon d'Or, PFA Player of the Year, Football Writers Player of the Year. He cleaned up. It was one of the, when you talk about clean sweeps of an individual player, that's probably one of the greatest individual seasons from a footballer in history. So yeah, objectively, there was that period where I probably thought Ronaldo, yeah, might be next up. But then when I saw Messi come through, even that season when I think United knocked out Barca in the 08 or 09 Champions League semi-final, I think Messi was still the best player on the pitch.
Yeah,
I think Messi was still the best player on the pitch, even though he didn't score in that game. I just look at it like, look at talent, pound for pound. Messi, it's clear, it's clear, it's clear. Yeah. But then in basketball, when I'm thinking of GOATs, I'm thinking of LeBron. I never saw Michael Jordan play like that. I saw, like, you know, documentaries, videos on YouTube. I see the 6 finals, 6 MVPs. The story about him not making it in into his he got cut from his high school basketball team, and then he had to get out of the mud. When those stories as well, you know, like I think he got bounced out of the playoffs against the bad boy Detroit Pistons. That's what they called him back in the 80s, mid 80s. So he's got a good story, and I think, you know, to the basketball purists, they'll probably say, you know, Michael Jordan's the GOAT, but to people who've been watching basketball, maybe, you know, spontaneously, or maybe since 2010s or pre-2010s, in that period up till now, LeBron's a GOAT. I don't think there's anyone that comes close to LeBron in terms of what he's done. You know, most points per game average, I think, since he's been in the league, barely misses a game, you know, until the load management became a thing. Yeah, LeBron, and what he does outside, you know, when I think about GOATs as well, is like, how do you transcend? You transcend the game, you know, like LeBron transcends the game of basketball, you know. Man's even got a school, you know. Yeah. Is he not like he owns a school, no?
Yeah, he's got a school, yeah.
Man, Cleveland, Ohio.
No, those things matter. Those things matter, you know. Obviously, Jordan's got his shoe, the Air Jordan, you know, and that pioneers basketball as well, because that created opportunities for other players to have their own signature shoe, right?
Yeah.
So there are things that, you know, have to transcend more than just what you do on top of the achievements, you know, degree, difficulty, you know, personal accolades, team accolades, things like that. But yeah, those are my GOATs. I'm going to say Roger Federer, pre-Messi Zidane, LeBron. Boxing, I don't watch boxing too tough like that, so I can't say. I'd probably say Muhammad Ali, simply for his story and his, you know, charisma, persona, how he transcends the boxing itself. I'd probably say, yeah, those are my GOATs. Oh yeah, and in American football, actually, sorry, one more GOAT. A personal GOAT for me is Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside the Tom Brady is the GOAT. You know, that's the GOAT, but that's the GOAT. You know, seven Super Bowls, but yeah, I'm gonna go Deion Sanders.
I've got a question for you. So, which one do you think is more impressive? Winning the final 6 times, or winning the final 4 times, but getting to the final 8 times?
LeBron's got 4 in it because he got that bubble one.
Yeah, so LeBron's got 4. Jordan 6 times.
What's more impressive?
Which one is more impressive?
I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say Jordan. You know, I'm gonna say Jordan. I'm gonna say Jordan because it came with 6 MVPs as well. You know.
Yeah.
It's not just like he rolled up there 6 times. You know, helped the team. You know, got 1 MVP. No, he got 6 MVPs in those 6 finals. Do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
That is mad. But obviously, you have to commend the effort to get to 8 finals as well. You know, when you get to 8 finals, that's an achievement, you know. And you lost to the arguably one of the best franchise teams ever. Like 3 times, didn't he? Was it twice he lost to Golden State Warriors?
3 times.
3 times, you know.
Yeah.
And they had to beg KD to come join.
Yeah, they did. But you know, one of the things I think we missed was longevity. I think longevity is incredibly important when you're talking about the GOAT, because if you can do it for the period of 3 years and then you disappear, I think that's one of the reasons why the real Ronaldo isn't considered on the GOAT discussion, is because he had a short period of time where he was unbelievable, probably better than what Messi and Ronaldo were doing for a short period of time, but it wasn't that, you know, he didn't build up the level of Ballon d'Ors that these guys have built. But one other thing that I just want to touch on before we jump to the next topic, Adam, is that you said it, and I actually really like that. I don't want to hear people our age saying, what's it called? Pele is the GOAT. Bro, what do you know about Pele? Bro, when people are talking about music and they're like, oh, who's the best rapper of all time? And then they go, well, I don't know. They'll go for like Biggie and Tupac. I'm like, no, you weren't, just like we're talking about GOATs now, about us watching videos and documentaries about these guys. It's different when you're hearing music that's hitting you in the time it's meant to hit you, rather than that's rather than listening to something that was done in the early 90s for now. So yeah, that's just a short bit I wanted to add, because that pisses me off when people start talking about John Bancuzzuli from the Italian team of '97.
Because it sounds cool.
Yeah, because it sounds. Sorry,
No,
bro.
you're right. You're right.
We've got some football fans in the room. Obviously, I'm repping the United top of the minute. Let's have a little touch on the new Champions League format. You know, United aren't in it at the moment, but I'm really enjoying it as a third party, watching it with no interest really. How do you guys feel about the new Champions League format?
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it, and I'm not. It's a novelty, yes, but if you play Football Manager, you would have known this was coming from 2000, I think two, when they introduced the new Champions League format. Obviously, they predicted. Football Manager has this algorithm where they predict what's going to happen based on what is going on inside of the game, right? So, for me, watching this Champions League format where it's like, okay, you've got 20, 30, what is it, 36 teams, and only 24 go through with the opportunity to go to the Champions League knockout phase, but the first 8 automatically go through. So from 9 to 24, those teams will play each other in a 2-leg knockout round tie before they have to qualify for the last 16. I think that element is very, very interesting to me. You know, it's more games, yes, which I do also have a concern about player welfare, which we can get onto later. But at the same time, I feel like when you have Lille, who are mashing work right now in the Champions League, I don't think they conceded the goal. I think they won 3. I think they won 4 out of 4, maybe conceding 1 or conceding none. They've been one of the surprise factors. Brest, another League on team, French team, are also undefeated, I think, but they played teams of lesser quality or teams of similar quality to themselves. I feel like the games are providing more shots as well, you know, with Lille beating, I think they beat Juve and they beat Real Madrid. I think the games where you've got one-off ties provide more random and a better competitive balance in those games where, okay, Dortmund were playing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu and they were like, I believe they were 3-0 up at the time and they ended up losing the game 4-3, you know, Vinny hat-trick. I think the games are a lot more entertaining because teams know that they're not going to play this team again, so they can go all out. You know, when you've got a team, when it was in a traditional format where you had, was it 4 in a group and you played everyone twice, you know, you can be a little bit more cagey because, you know, okay, we're going to see this team again anyway. We don't need to do the most because, you know, they can scout our tactics. You know, we're going to watch them again, we're going to play them again. So I feel like this year's Champions League is a lot more competitive. It feels like the actual Champions League. When you think about a league format, this is what it should be. Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it right now, man.
That's good. That's good. I'm similar. I'm enjoying it as well. I think the additional games is probably the biggest problem for me because, again, from a player welfare perspective, when you speak to footballers and they tell you like playing frequently and over a year takes a massive toll on the body. Like I was listening to an interview where Pep was speaking about how in the Premier League players are playing the equivalent of what NBA players are doing in a season, and the NBA players have like 3-4 games or 3-4 months off in the off season. And you think about in football, it's about what, 4 weeks, and even that sometimes doesn't even feel like it's up to 4 weeks. So for me, that's my biggest concern with it. But I like how I feel like it makes the group stages a bit more competitive. Again, like if you don't handle your business in the games, like another team can jump up ahead of you, and there's not guarantee that you're going to be straight through to the next round. So for me, I love that aspect of it. I believe Real Madrid are in a bit of a spot of trouble at the moment, which again I think that adds more entertainment to it as well. With them
they'll be all right, man. They'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll get through.
This is what they do. This is what they do every Champions League, man. They flirt. They try to create stories. You know, they flirt with like a few bad results, and before you know it, they come knockout round fixtures, they start sweeping up everyone.
Yeah, and I think they will. I feel they'll handle business. For me, I just love, like you mentioning Lille, Brest, like two teams where I feel like naturally, if it was the normal Champions League style of play, both of those teams would be playing the Europa League in a couple of months. So for me, I think the way it's set up, it's making it more exciting. Yeah, and I think I like the idea, especially now I want to start going to more of these games. I like the idea of being able to go to just random countries as well. So yeah,
I'm with you guys. I've always thought this is the way I've always thought Champions Leagues and European football should be done. To be honest, is this like initial league format and then break into a so every team gets an opportunity to play a top team. They have the opportunity to. It's not the best of a certain group. It's actually the best of Europe. That's the way I feel anyway. It's great. And you know you're talking about these like great stories. You've got the Monacos. You've got Sporting. We're very happy to be having the Sporting manager come over to United. So we've got Monaco, Brest, and then you've got teams like the classic teams like Inter, Liverpool. They're still up top. It's going to be really exciting to see a club like Aston Villa whether they can stay in that eighth position and not have to go through those an additional round of group stages. I think it's awesome, man. We're getting exciting games. I hope it continues like this. It's really really good to see, man. I'm enjoying it. So, what are the arguments that people are having against it? Though is the question I have for you guys.
I think the biggest thing is that I think it's an additional 2 games. I think it works out like an additional 2 games. So I think that's probably the biggest problem. And it feels like there's been a lot more ACL injuries. I don't know if maybe it's been reported a bit more, but it seems like there's been a lot of ACL injuries this season, a lot more than in previous seasons. So I think that's the biggest problem with it. I think if you have a situation where all the major teams get knocked out, it kind of defeats the point a little bit because the viewership will probably drop down a little bit, in my opinion, which is obviously not good for the TV right owners. So yes, I like that it's more competitive, but if we have a situation where some of the big clubs are consistently not getting through, it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts everything.
Yeah, I think another one is confusion around how the format is going to work. A lot of people, they're quite resistant to change, when they're used to a particular system and a particular way of something being. When a new system comes in, like, their minds reject it quite quickly rather than trying to, understand what the system can bring and then giving it a try first. I think the extra games, though, and some of the injuries that are being caused, yes, I agree the player welfare has been at risk, but not necessarily because of the Champions League. I think it's these damn competitions like UEFA Nations League. No one cares about the UEFA Nations League, bro. Like no one, I'm not watching those games. Honestly, I'm really not watching those UEFA Nations League games. It's either Champions League, Prem, a little bit of Liga, a little bit of Serie A. That's it. It has to be competitive. I think the most recent major ACL injuries have come from, like I think Adam Adeniji recently did his second ACL in the space of like 18 months, 2 years. Danny Carvajal's also had another ACL injury. But I also think it's not a coincidence that Real Madrid are having these injuries because they don't recruit well. Defensively, they don't buy additional players. They're still using the same centre-backs they used last season. Rudiger, Nacho left. They didn't really replace Nacho. Now they're having to use a Jesus Vallejo or an 18-year-old that came off the bench to get an assist. He plays centre-back now. They've had to use Tchouaméni at centre-back because they didn't recruit well. They don't have another right-back. They're using, what's his name? Lucas Vazquez.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow.
Rodri was one of the loudest voices in terms of player welfare. He's been saying for the last 2-3 years that they're playing too much football. What does he do? Goes and gets an ACL injury. And City have constantly played him every minute of every season for the past 4 years. I think that there are other variable factors that come with this. And I also think clubs have to do better to recruit more numbers to support these players, just because I get it, best players have to play, but you also need to have an insurance policy and know that, okay, if we're going to play 50, 60 games, which is our ambition, we need to have, a squad capable of supporting our best players. Otherwise, more injuries are going to start happening.
Yeah, I know. I agree. This is something that we touched on a few times now on the pod, and I'm a big advocate of, yes, there are too many games, but I think there are things that the clubs can do to support the players, and one of them is recruit better, have deeper squads, rotation, and maybe even have a player limit in terms of minutes that they can play a year. But yeah, that's just a few ideas from my perspective, boys. But lads, I'm glad that we're all agreed on the Champions League. But Afo,
Yes.
Arsenal, what's happening? What's happening?
Jeremy, it's early doors. I'm all right.
You're all right.
Right.
I would be a little bit worried because we all know that if you leave too big of a gap, Liverpool and City, in particular City, you can't catch them. The only team that has recently caught a team is City catching Liverpool a couple of seasons ago. So I just want to get your perspective as an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
Both of you.
Yeah.
Are you actually okay, or are you a little bit worried?
You know what? The reason why I'm okay is because I think we're 12 games in now. Is it up to 12 games?
Something like that. Less than that, maybe 11.
Yeah, so maybe 11, 12 games now. Arsenal have had a lot of major injuries. Again, like Odegaard, and again, it's a problem with Arteta. He's put too much on Martin Odegaard, for example, to be the build-up, the creative activity for us. So for me, that's been something that stopped us progressing. So now we're getting players back, even though Ben White is going to be out now they're saying for like 8 weeks. For me, I feel as if there's still plenty of time to make it back. The way injuries are happening, Liverpool can get their own injuries. And if that happens, that could push things back in our favour. Man City are struggling, not struggling, but they're going through a bit of a blip at the moment with the injury, off the back of the injury of Rodri. So I think there's plenty of time. If we can recruit again in January, I think that's so important because Raheem Sterling, clearly they don't believe in him. What I've seen from him so far, I'm not impressed.
He might be washed.
Yeah, I think he's done. Mikel Merino, I felt like he played well when he was playing next to Odegaard. So I'm now believing in him a little bit. Before I was like, potentially is another waste of money. But I'm feeling encouraged about it. So I feel like things are going to come together. There's still plenty of time. And bro, listen, you have to take it game by game, man. Game by game. Like 6, 7 weeks ago, City, where everyone's like, City's going to win the league. Rodri gets injured, and all of a sudden, like things are going tits up. It feels like things are going tits up for them. So yeah, I think you just have to take it step by step. And yeah, just try and rotate the squad as much as possible and try not to get them too many injuries. Like I feel like Arteta plays the players into the ground a bit too much. I feel like he doesn't really rotate enough. But I'm hoping that with guys coming back, he's able to do that a bit more and trust players like Miles Lewis-Skelly and Nwaneri as well.
Okay. Adam, what's your thoughts?
Listen, I've been thinking about this one, I've been thinking about it. International break, it's a time for reflection.
Yes.
I feel this season there's been a lot of time to reflect on what has gone on in the previous 3-4 weeks of the Premier League. Now, we're in the third stage of reflection. I can only look at it in parts, the season in parts. I think the first 3 games, were difficult. We had Wolves, people sleep on Wolves. We kind of made light work of them in the football sense. The scoreline was a little bit more, flattered to deceive, I think. But when you watch the game, we mashed work there. Then we had a difficult run of games where we had to play, I think it was Atalanta away, Villa away, Atalanta away, Spurs away. We came away with, 3 points? No, 1 point, 3 points, and another 3 points. Really good results. And then things start to get a little bit more difficult now. We go into another run of games, where we've had to play Newcastle. I think after we played Leicester and Southampton, we played Newcastle. Now, that Newcastle game worried me. It worried me because I started to think of our midfield composition. I started to look at it and be like, okay, I think we've got too many behind the ball players.
Yeah.
I look at Liverpool. Let me start with Arsenal. Okay, I look at Arsenal's midfield, right? I look at how we've built our squad. They're very bottom heavy. We've got a lot of defenders. We've got about 5 left guys who can play left back. We've got 3 guys who can play right back. We've got all the defenders we've got that can play full back. Majority of them can actually play centre back. Timber can play centre back.
Yeah.
Kiwior can play centre back. Tomiyasu, who I love as a profile, but who's never available, can play anywhere across the back four. But our midfield, we've got Jorginho, Partey, Declan Rice, Mikel Merino. All these guys are really behind the ball players. The only one player we've got who can play ahead of the ball is Martin Odegaard. Sometimes we drop Havertz into midfield. It doesn't really work, and I feel like Arteta's stubbornness has cost him from being able to integrate a special talent like Ethan Nwaneri into the team.
Yeah.
We missed a window where we played, I think, Leicester and Southampton, back-to-back home games, and he chose not to integrate Ethan into the team. The tougher games came where we needed someone of Ethan's profile, like an advanced 8, because we have too many behind the ball players. We need someone who can receive the ball in between the lines, move opposition players around. He chose not to play. He did this thing of playing Mikel Moreno there, and then playing Rice, and then playing Partey, who I think's been phenomenal this season, by the way. No one's saying anything. Liverpool now you look at Liverpool's midfield composition now, the way they built their squad, they're very top heavy. They're the complete opposite of us. They've got Curtis Jones, they've got Szoboszlai, who I don't think is great, but has talent and is a more advanced player. They've got all their front three, they're all strikers. They're all essentially forwards. Luis Diaz, Salah, we know what Salah's on. Nunes, but is a threat. Jota scores goals. Chiesa, who we haven't really seen. Gakpo, who's cooking, but no one's really saying anything about him soon, but he's coming. And they've got Harvey Elliott. They've got
Birch as well.
Gravenberch. Oh, yeah. Salah, obviously. Yeah, I said Salah.
Okay,
Who else? Like, you look at that team, it's very, very, very potent offensively. But where they might struggle is if an injury comes to Van Dijk, if an injury comes to Ryan Gravenberch, if an injury comes to a Trent long term, maybe over the span of 4 or 5 weeks, that's where they might struggle. And there's no way you're going to play this many games in the season and expect these players to pick up injuries. I think the bigger tests are coming for them. Yeah. I think we're capable of going on a run. I feel we showed that last season. They went to Dubai. I don't know what they got up to in Dubai. There's a lot of activities you can do in Dubai. Some are, explicit. Some are inexplicit activities. Those players came back refreshed, ready for a title charge. I don't know what they did in Dubai, but we need to go on a retreat. Maybe, I don't know what Arteta's been doing these last 10 days, 12 days, but the fruits of our labor will be shown over these next 3-4 months. The fruits of our labors will be shown over these next 3 or 4 months. And I need to see our brand of football improve now, because we've had a month where it was a bit stale. I think the moment we start showing we can score goals like we did last season, where we came back from that break, if we could go on a run like that, I think we'll be fine. I still believe in this team, but I think there are some concerns with how the team has been built, and that might come back to bite us.
Adam,
we're lacking a winger and we're lacking a striker.
Let me ask you guys a question then. Is Arteta getting in the way of his own success? Is he holding Arsenal back?
So let me go. So I wouldn't say he's holding Arsenal back because of where we've come from. I think you need to remember he's a first-time head coach. As time goes on, he's going to figure things out. Again, I feel like there's expectation for people to figure things out straight away. He's figuring it out as he goes. The fact he's not playing Sterling, for me, shows that he's not being stubborn, and he recognizes that this guy ain't it for him right now. So, yes, I think he's very, very stubborn with a bunch of other things, but those things have also helped Arsenal get to the point where we're at this moment in time. So, we have to see how the season plays out. I'm hoping that the person that replaces Edu is not going to be a yes man. Again, I'm hoping that is someone that's going to challenge Arteta with the signings that he wants to make. But I think, yes, Arteta kind of gets in his way with some things, but at the same time, that's the reason why we're at the level we're at now. So I am I'm still happy, because I feel like fans are trying to twist it and make it seem like, Arsenal are not going to win with him, etc. Like, nah, I still believe in him. The squad. So
the reason I position that question to you guys is, from a Man United perspective, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the man to get us to a certain position, create nice harmony in the team, but he wasn't the guy to take us to the next step. We all knew. I was saying that on this pod from back then, that I like Ole for what he's done. He brought a nice vibe, stabilized the club, but he's not the guy to come in and take us to Champions Leagues, to take us to the top of the league, right? That's the only reason I asked that question, Adam, because it seems like, Arteta, I'm not saying this from a fan looking at you fans talking about your club, that maybe not you, Afo, but I'm saying what I'm hearing from some of these fans, is that they're unhappy with some of the decisions he's making. They're unhappy with some of the selection choices. I'm just trying to convey the points. That's all. Adam, what do you think?
I know you're not comparing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I know you're not. You're just using that as a.
Jeremy's a troll.
There's some tribalism going on in that question. There's some tribalism.
You're trying to gaslight, bro. You're trying to.
You know what? Player. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. You got to get yours off. I get it. You're a United fan, cool. But if we're looking at it, yeah, if we're looking at Arteta's body of work over
Ah.
5 years, I think 5 years is a solid body of work to look at a manager, right? I think his body of work, pound for pound, is probably one of the top 3 coaching jobs in world football over the last 5 years. I can't think of many managers who, if you're looking at maybe outside of Pep, right? I think Inzaghi's there from Inter. I think he's up there. I think he's won, what, 2 Scudettos and reached a Champions League final, playing a brand of football with Inter Milan that's actually very, very good to watch. And they're a solid team. Yeah. I think you look at the job that I think
Ancelotti,
but Ancelotti's Ancelotti, man. That Real Madrid team is peak. I think Zidane did a madness with half
why,
a good.
why are you giving Guardiola credit, but you're not giving Ancelotti credit?
I said outside of Guardiola. I said outside of Guardiola. Okay, I said outside. If you look at outside of Guardiola, you're looking at Inzaghi, you're looking at Arteta, you're looking at possibly who was that Bayern manager last season?
The Aston Villa manager. Say it's
the season before.
I was going to say Unai Emery's done a manager.
I said 5 years though. Unai Emery has been 2 years. He's been less than that, 18 months.
Even before
was it 2 years?
No, what were you talking about before? He won the Europa League. Yeah.
What, with Villarreal?
Yeah.
Okay, fair. Unai Emery, fair. Yeah, let's put Unai Emery in there. Those 3 managers are probably the top 3 coaching jobs over the last 5 years. I think that's fair to say. Where Arteta took us from previously to where we are now, I can't be mad at that, man. I can't be mad at that. There was a time where I'll just be like, yo, I want my team to be a competitive team. When we had Mustafi, Kolasinac, Socrates, lack of threats. Not even lack of threats. When we had these guys there, these bums, bro, our club was in tatters, bro. We needed saving, and Arteta came and saved us. And I still think he can still get us to where we need to be. He just needs to stop being stubborn. I think he can be a bit stubborn. I think he could take too long to rectify a mistake. I think he identifies when he's made a mistake, but he takes too long to solve it. I think there was a period 2 seasons ago where Saliba got injured and he was playing Rob Holding at centre-back. He could have played Jakub Kiwior. In the end, he played Jakub Kiwior with 2 or 3 games to go, and we saw that this guy could play. He could have played centre-back and it would have been fine. Instead, it was too late. By then, we'd already coughed up the league. I think this season he missed the window of opportunity to play Ethan Nwaneri in that RCM role, where Odegaard positions himself in that midfield. Missed an opportunity. I think Ethan Nwaneri is a fantastic footballer. We've had talents like Wilshere, Fabregas, Van Persie come through at Arsenal and been given opportunities, and they've shone. Why can't Ethan be given the same opportunity? Our club is built on giving young talent opportunity. If you're good enough, you're old enough. And I think Arteta's slightly missed the boat there, but it's not too late. It's only 9 points. A lot could change.
Do you feel as if Arteta plays too much to seniority? Because I think that's my biggest problem with him as well. It feels as if he prioritizes, and I guess maybe that's how he keeps the team morale and the team happy. But sometimes it feels as if he goes down the route of, you're the older player, you've been here longer, I'm going to play you. The only player he seems to have not done it with this season is Zinchenko. But that's probably my biggest thing with him. I feel as if he maybe works too hard to not upset people, where reality is Gabby Jesus has not really been doing too much. So to bring him on to try and change games doesn't work, but I understand why you would, because he's one of the leaders in the change room. So again, so my question to you, Adam, do you feel as if he prioritizes seniority when it comes to picking who's going to be playing?
100%. 100%. I remember if you think back to the time when I think when Arteta was really struggling within the first 2 years of his job, right? And there were people calling for him to be sacked. He brought in Emil Smith-Rowe and started playing Saka on the right. I think he moved Saka from, left back / midfield role to right wing, and he brought in ESR. People were calling for ESR for the whole season, maybe the season before with Unai Emery, because ESR was actually introduced to the team under Unai Emery and started, playing well, scoring goals in these Carabao Cup games, FA Cup games. I just feel like he takes too long to make the right decision. We know he's smart enough to see what the problem is. I think he just takes a bit too long to rectify it. Do you know what I mean? I feel like with Arteta, I don't think we'll get a better manager. I think if Arteta was to leave Arsenal right now, he's getting the Real Madrid job. He's getting the job at Barcelona. He's getting the job at City. That's how good he is. Let's be under no illusions. We've got a top-class manager. I just think he needs to maximize the resources he's got left in the window he's got at Arsenal. I mean, like, football changes very, very quickly. Nobody saw Liverpool come in this season and being top of the league. Liverpool are obviously objectively a very good team. You know, they've still got all-timers. You know, if Van Dijk was to retire today and Trent was to retire today, they'd be in the conversation as one of the best in their position in the Prem. You know, Salah as well. Like, Salah is in my all-time right wing team. Like, there's no right winger I'm putting above him in my Premier League all-time 11. So we've really got to get our act together over the next, 2 months and go on a run and hope Liverpool drop points in this period. Because right now, I can't objectively say we're going to win the league. I think we're capable, but if you were to ask me, are Arsenal going to win the league? Honestly, I'd say no. Right now, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. But if I was to say, are we capable of winning the league? Are we capable of going on a run of champion to get to a Champions League final? I'd say yeah. I think the floor for us should be the absolute floor for it to not be a failure of a season should be second and a trophy.
So
second and the trophy.
What trophy? Which trophy? Which trophy?
FA Cup or Champions League?
Yeah, that should be the floor. Maybe my standards are too high. I don't know. People will say like, oh no, but come on, man. We've got 5. We've built this team up to the 5th year now. What are we in phase 5? Whatever Arteta calls it. Oh, we're in phase 4, phase 5. Bro, like it's time. It's time. I need to see something close. Like, we've come close to the Prem now, like 2 years running, right? We didn't quite make the cross over the line against Bayern last season in Champions League. This season's the season to show, okay, can you get to a Champions League final? I'm not saying win it, just get us to the final. Get us to the final.
Progress. We want to see progress.
We want to see progress. If we take a backward step, people will be looking at it like, oof, is he another Pochettino? And I think Pochettino is a top manager. I think Pochettino. I think you look at that, his body of work at Spurs.
No, he's a top manager.
He's a top manager, man. I just think the Chelsea move was probably the wrong move he made, but I don't want Arteta's Arsenal legacy to be looked at as like, oh, he was just another Pochettino. Because people look at Pochettino in a negative light at Spurs. I think he's underrated, and I want Arteta. Okay, he's won. People forget Arteta's won FA Cup, but I would like him to solidify his time at Arsenal. I'm not saying it's going to come to an end anytime soon, but like I said, things change quickly in football. We need to see something. We need to see. I'll take an FA Cup and a Carabao Cup if we don't win the Champions League. I'll take what Liverpool did 2 years ago. Remember when Liverpool did domestic cup double and they finished second and they finished, I think, Champions League semi-final or final.
Okay.
If we could do something like that, close to that, then that's progress to me.
That's progress.
That's progress.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand, boys.
Yes, that's enough of us. Let's hear about how do you feel? Obviously, you've got a new manager now. You've got the jersey on. I'm going to see you wear the jersey in a minute. You're feeling nice.
Talk to us.
But yeah, let's
talk. You know what? Let's as you said, Adam, it's a time for reflection. The international break. I look at the table. There's only 4 points between Arsenal and Man United.
Oh, don't do that, man.
There's only 4 points between Man United and Chelsea. There is still a long way of the season to go. And look, my expectation is for this. We spoke about it last time, Afo. My expectation is for United to be finishing in the top 6, right? Not the top 4, because the teams there are too strong. You have Liverpool, too strong. City, too strong. Arsenal, too strong. There is, to be fair, there is that gap with Chelsea that I think they might drop off a little bit, and we could potentially chase them down. But my expectations after the seasons that we've been having is for us to be top 6. Now, with our new manager coming in, Ruben, I'm going to say a few things, and I need you guys to listen. Okay. When we sacked Erik ten Hag, one of the biggest issues that we had with him, outside of his performances, his team's performances, was the way he interacted with the media, the way he was unable to convey himself. In the space of a week that Ruben's been at the club, the conversations that he's having with the media. No, I'm aware that this is very early days conversations. Everything's feel good right now, but the way he's communicating with the media is very, very positive. Right? It's very positive. That's just one thing. We look at his style of play. His team, unlike Erik ten Hag's Ajax team, who were an okay performers in the Champions League. We have Ruben, who they're second right now, Sporting, who are second in the Champions League standing. His style of play is very clear, right? We understand what he wants to implement. And then I look at the players that we have at the club. I'm not like these stupid pundits that every single time something goes wrong at United, they blame the players. I actually think this crop of Man United players are decent enough to be a top 6, top 5, potentially creep into a top 4 position if Chelsea falls off. And I just see the way that he wants to play. I see the players that we have. And I'm going to be positive, boys. I think there is something that we'll be able to get out of this season, this post this international break, that is going to be quite positive for United. I look at players like Højlund, who I'm still very high on. I look at players like De Ligt, who is a player that's come from a very good club, has that pedigree. I think he has the pedigree to be a United player. Martinez, the only thing that worries me is injuries to some key players like Martinez, Shaw, and I'm very hot and cold about Rashford right now. Huh?
All these guys you named, they're not it, bro.
You don't rate Luke Shaw?
Luke Shaw's a liability, bro. Let's be real.
Do you rate Martinez?
Depends on what system you play.
Well,
if you're playing 4-4-2, or if you're playing, I'm gonna let you finish. I'm
almost done. Mainu, Højlund, as I said, De Ligt. I think our keeper is going to do well in this system as well. So, look, all I'm saying, boys, is that I'm positive in the way that I'm looking forward. Don't look at these players, and they're probably the best crop of players we've had at United for 5, 6, 7 years, right? So I'm positive. As I said, I'm not expecting us to get into the top 4. I'm expecting us to be in the 5th or 6th position in the league, and that would be progress. And we're gonna have to give them time. So, boys, let me know what you think.
Okay. Let me say something. Yeah. A lot of these players you mentioned, bro. Okay, Luke Shaw, yeah. There was a time where Luke Shaw was like this flying fullback, like, I think pre-leg break, and there was a period maybe for 2 seasons after the leg break. I wouldn't say recent, but there was a period where Luke Shaw was a somewhat reliable player. But I think those things that Jose Mourinho said about Luke Shaw, some of those things are true. I genuinely think Luke Shaw you need to get rid of. He's become a crux in your wage bill. He's become a crux to your squad building. I don't think Luke Shaw's the type of player you want to be keeping around too long. I feel like every time you bring in a left back to challenge him, he raises his form for a bit and then brings it back down again. Once he knows someone's local, like Alex Telles, that was the time he brought in Alex Telles and he brought his form up. Then 2 or 3 months down the line, bad habits start to creep in again. You brought in Tyler Malacia, his form increased again. 2 or 3 months down the line, it started to go back down again. And plus, on top of that, he's injury prone. You can't rely on it. Martinez is one of those players.
Quick question.
Okay, go.
Isn't that the responsibility of the manager to bring that out of him? So if he sees the performance drop, take him out. Bring the other guy in. Because you're saying that he has the ability. You're saying
he had it.
Well, he should. Well, you said that every time he brings it, every time someone comes in to challenge his spot, he shows it. So for me, that's the responsibility of the manager to bring that out of him day in, day out.
But you have to help yourself, though. I feel it gets to a point. Luke Shaw's 30 now. Is he not 30 years old? Like, at some point, you need to move on from 29. Okay, he's almost 30, and he's been injured for a lot of his career. Those injuries, they're not. You don't become all of a sudden a non-injury prone player after being an injury prone for most of your 20s. You hit your 30s, those injuries become worse. It takes long for you to come back from injury. I think you should start pouring more into guys like Diogo Dalot. I think you should start pouring more into guys like. I think Onana is still a good keeper in the right system. I feel like Mainu is a player that needs help in midfield. I think sometimes it feels like he's doing a solo mission in midfield. I don't think someone of his ability should be left with Casemiro to play with, because Casemiro sometimes gives the ball away too many times and leaves that young poor boy chasing around after the ball. Mainu's not athletic like that. He needs to be in a team where the team's going to keep the ball and you're going to create patterns of play. You're going to have a little bit more of a possession of the ball rather than being a counter-attacking team. I think Martinez in a 4-4-2 is not the centre-back that you want. I think in a back 3, which Ruben Amorim might play, would be good in a left centre back position. I honestly think that. I think when we were, I think Afo, remember when we were linked with Martinez? We initially wanted Martinez instead of Zinni, but we wanted to play him left back, not centre back. I think if you play him wide in a role where in the wide of the defence, maybe in a 3 or in a 4 at left back or left centre back, I think you can get maximum value out of a player like that because he's really good on the ball. I think he's one of the best ball playing centre backs in the league. I just think he's too over aggressive. I also think I like Højlund because I liked him at Atalanta, and I think he was a good player there. I think he's come to United and has been tasked with being the main number 9. Someone who's 19, I think that's a tall order. I think he needed someone more senior. I still think that he's a coaching job. I think he's someone who you need to pour time into. I think United have a handful of players: Diogo Dalot, Martinez, Mainu, Højlund. Most of the players you mentioned there, yes, those are good players. But guys like, I like his ambition. I like his mentality. I like his ambition. I still think like United should not be starting him every week. I think he's someone who should be coming off the bench. I think there are players you've given too much responsibility to at a young age. And it's starting to show. I feel like he's the sort of player who needs to be your third winger, your third choice winger. For where you want to be, he shouldn't be starting every week. The only reason why he is because Rashford's washed. That's the only reason.
Left wing, right wing, and then he's the next option.
Yes, he should be your next option. He should be the guy who comes off the bench because you know he can produce something. But I think he's still a bit raw. He's not strong enough. I think he needs to get under a barbell, start doing some squats, start doing some plyometrics. I don't think he has that fast twitch ability to beat a man. I don't think he holds the ball up well enough. I think he makes the wrong decisions sometimes, but his ambition is good. I like his mentality. He believes in himself. That's why he's always scoring goals. I think Rashford could learn from someone like Garnacho in terms of his attitude.
The mentality.
I think Rashford's ability is there. You can't question Rashford's ability, but right now it's like is there something wrong? It's like, I don't know, like, is he okay? I don't know. Like, people always ask.
He's just going through the motions. Just
going through the motions, man. Just going through the motions. I don't like seeing that to a young brother, man. I used to like Rashford, you know. I used to like Rashford as a player, man. Even though he dunked on Arsenal a few times, like Rashford's ability. Like even last season, I think I was calling for him to be in the England squad because was it last season or season before?
Season before.
No, it was season before. Yeah, season before. And he didn't make it. And I was thinking England could have done with a player like that. What do you think, Afro, man? With United?
I think someone like Rashford, he has that game changer ability, but definitely there's an issue mentally there. I don't think he can change, bro. I think this is how he's going to be for the rest of his career. I think I won't be surprised if this.
Sorry, you think he's going to be in this current terrible form for the rest of his career, or you think it's going to be hot and cold, hot and cold, hot and cold?
It might be.
It'd be like this. I can't see him all of a sudden turning it and then being consistent for 3 years and being a reliable player. So I think you probably go through the season. We'll see how he does. But let's say he keeps the same form. I won't be surprised if the manager is like, do you know what? Let's move him on at the end of the season. I will not be surprised if they consider it because they're paying him a lot of money. He's not really performing. If he doesn't perform for the rest of the season, why not sell him for 60, 70 M's and bring in someone for the same amount of money that might be more reliable?
They ain't getting that.
Who's buying him for 60, 70 mil? No one.
You're thinking, bro, if Chelsea can get 60 M's for Havertz, I think someone would pay 60 million for Rashford.
I feel like, because when you guys bought Havertz, I think you guys saw untapped potential that he hasn't. I feel like people have seen Rashford's top end, and the fact that he's not been there for 2 seasons is really worrying. That's why, remember when he was linked to PSG aren't interested in him anymore.
No, you know, they don't want him no more, man.
Nah, the Real Madrid, they don't want him anymore. But all I'm going to say to your point, boys, is that I agree that there are. Well, I don't know if I do agree. I think there are more talented players in that team for Ruben to get a lot out of.
Let me ask you something.
I think hold on. These Arsenal fans, they love it too much. The players like the ones in particular that we brought in this year, I think have a lot of ability. I think players like Euro, players like Zerski, Ugarte, these are players that we have not seen anywhere close to what the coach can get out of them. And then when you sprinkle some experience around them, like Casemiro, Eriksen, Diallo's not experienced, but he's one of those young players that I think Diallo has a bright future in the Premier League. He has a very bright future. I do think there is something that I do think there's talent in that club. Sorry,
I want to ask you something. Yeah, I forgot about Diallo actually. I really like him. He's a talented player. He's someone who should be starting for you. I think he's a Man United quality player.
Bro, how can you say Diallo should have started, but Garnacho shouldn't?
I think Diallo is better than Ganacho.
Diallo's a better
But
footballer.
he's not as matured in the.
I think he is. I think he's way more polished. I think the way he plays football is he retains the ball well. He's got a very cultured left foot. He doesn't rush to make decisions. He's shown if you put him in front of goal, he's capable of finishing. I still think he needs to work on his finish a little bit more. That's where Garnacho is a little bit better than him, man. Like getting to those goal scoring positions. But I feel like he's the sort of player that can add balance to United's team. Physically, still some ways to go, but he's not getting bullied like that. I still feel like he's the type of player that I think he needs to be on the same wavelength as players. I think his quality is better than a lot of the quality that is surrounding him. I think the moment he's in a system where you keep the ball better, I think Diallo is going to be a mainstay in the United team, barring no injuries, of course, and you know.
And I do think the club has done him a disservice from his time at the club, because he shouldn't have been on loan as much as he has been. I think he should have been getting some more time, more game time, so that he is, because he's 2 years older than Garnacho, but for some reason Garnacho has way more Premier League exposure than him.
I'm pretty certain Diallo had quite a few. He's had a few injuries since coming to United.
But yeah, he has. But also, when he has been fit, he hasn't been given opportunities like Garnacho has.
Maybe what do you want? So maybe again, I think Garnacho seems to have that. I'm not saying Diallo doesn't have that, but Garnacho seems to show that he has that dog in him a bit, and again, a bit of a ruthlessness about him. And I think that's where maybe Garnacho has the advantage over Diallo, that he seems to take his chances more than Diallo does. Diallo maybe in terms of the whole game puts on a better performance as a whole package, but in terms of impact in the game, Garnacho seems to regularly have an impact on the game.
He's ambitious. He's got a good mentality. He's ambitious. You can tell Ronaldo's had a good influence on him in his early part of his United career when Ronaldo was there. I think Ronaldo is his goal.
That listened to him. He was one of the players that listened to him.
Yeah, and I think that's what's helping him stay in the United team, despite some of the flaws United fans think he has, and I think he has. But I can admit, when I look at him, he's a player that can contribute something to United consistently. But I want to ask you something, Jeremy, yeah? What do you want to see from Ruben Amorim in the first package of, like, okay, you look at it as like, okay, first 10 games, right? What do you want to see from Ruben Amorim? Do you want to see him get rid of particular players from the squad? Do you want to see him stamp his authority? Do you want to see him come in and play discernible style of play? Do you want to see him play his system? Because my opinion is when a new manager comes in, straight away, you want to see him put his imprint into the club straight away. You want to see, okay, you don't want to wait until summer and be like, okay, now I want to start putting my imprint, because then you've wasted an entire season. He's still got the entire season to show what he can do at United. What do you want to see?
That's a great question. I'm actually going to steal a line from the interview that he did. I want to see in his first five games, I want to see the idea. I want to see the idea of how they're going to play, which means they're not going to be perfect, which means they're not going to be. It doesn't necessarily mean that we have 5 wins on the bounce, but I want to see the idea of how they play. I want to see the ambition. I want to see the mentality. That's what I want to see. Then when it comes to transfer windows, I only want to see 3 or 4 players leave this club, right? That those players are Johnny Evans, Harry Maguire. You, to be fair, we can't lose 2 of these 3 because we just need backups in those positions. But Harry, Lindelof, and Johnny Evans, I would quite like to see those guys disappear. Potentially a Marcus Rashford as well, right? Those are the players I want to see gone from the club. And then I want to see him play these young, up-and-coming footballers in an exciting manner. I want to see Man United become solid at the back with this, obviously 5, or I don't know if it's 3-4-3 or if it's 5-3-3. I just want to see solidity at the back. And bro, one of the most important things is that I need to see him make Old Trafford a difficult place to play. I need, if City are gonna come and win there, it has to be raw. These men gave us a hard fight, not like these times that we've been getting washed by Liverpool and City, etc. So that's essentially it for me. By the end of the season, we should be starting to Perth. We should be starting to Perth.
Jez.
But I'm not going to rush. I'm going to give him time. But I'm not going to give him as much. If his performances are like, actually, no, I'm not even going to go there. I'm
Yeah, too early.
today,
Too
so
early.
I've got a question. So I'm looking at your matches now. So
Yeah.
next game is against Ipswich. Then you're playing Europa League against Bordeaux, and then you're playing Everton, then Arsenal. So if he goes through a run of not getting any wins between now and Arsenal, how do you think that impacts him, especially early doors?
That won't it won't happen because of those teams that you just said. But you're saying if.
I think Ipswich. I don't think Ipswich are bad. I think that could be a tough game.
No, bro. I don't think Ipswich are bad, but they're ranked 17th in the table.
United should be beating them.
We should be beating them, right?
They should be beating them.
And then who were the other teams you mentioned, Afo? Look, let's be honest. The only team that we don't have the right to beat is Arsenal in that list that you just right. But if we're 4 from 5, if we're 3 from 5, I'm okay with that. If it's 3 draw and that, I'm okay with that. Look, if he was to lose all those first 5 games, there would be an issue. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Losing all first 5, that would be worrying. That'd be pretty bad.
I think, like you said, you need to see discernible style of play. I think that might come with some pain because no new manager comes to the league and walks the league first season, unless you're Slot right now, who's enjoying, but there will be some pain at some point. I do think those fixtures that Afo mentioned are fixtures you should be getting at least 2 wins from. If you can get 2 wins from those first 3 and then go into the Arsenal game, whatever happens against Arsenal, if you come Emirates, you get run out, that's fine. That happens most seasons anyway. But then you got Forest at home. You got Forest at home after Arsenal, and that's where you could, bounce back again and be like, okay, cool. These are fixtures we should win. And then obviously you got City, Spurs in the Carabao Cup, and then you got Bournemouth at home again. So there are games here where you look at them and be like, United should be getting some wins and showing some style of football. So there's an opportunity here. There's a window of opportunity for, I think, Ruben Amorim to have a good start at United.
Yeah.
There's a window of opportunity. I think if he doesn't take it, I think he probably might start to apply a little bit more pressure on him than needed. But no one's going to be like, oh, what's he doing? At the end of the day, he just needs to show something to be like, okay, United fans can hang the hat on this and be like, okay, we lost here, we shouldn't have lost there. Fine, but we're seeing some sort of identity. Yeah, vision. You want to see, okay, I can picture what he's doing.
Adam,
you're spot on. You're spot on. Sorry, Afo, I was going to say he's spot on. Giving yourself a good start just alleviates the pressure off him a little bit. If you mess up and you win 1 out of the 5 or 0 out of the 5, you're just piling on unnecessary pressure for the start. That's it.
I wish you nothing but the worst.
I know you do. I wish
you nothing but the worst.
Okay, so Adam, so let's finish on this. So we touch on the NFL. Who do you have winning the Super Bowl this year, and who do you have as who's going to be the MVP of the league?
Super Bowl. All roads to the Super Bowl go through Mahomes.
Yeah.
All roads to the Super. If you want to get in the Super Bowl, or if you want to win the Super Bowl, you have to beat Patrick Mahomes.
Mahomes, yeah?
Yeah, you have to beat him because, bro, if you look at the pattern of the last 4 or 5 Super Bowls, right, you usually have to beat Kansas City Chiefs in order for you to win it. I think the only final that hasn't had Kansas City Chiefs in over the last 4 or 5 years, I think, off the top of my head, has been the Bengals versus the Rams. And even then, the Bengals beat the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl. I think Joe Burrows did it. I think I'm going to put my money on, if I was a betting man, I'm not, but if I am, I'm going to put my money on Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and I'm going to, for MVP, I'm going to either give it to, it's probably going to be Lamar. But it could also...
Or Josh Allen.
Yeah. I would love them to give it to a running back, but I don't think that will happen. I would love to think Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley, but I think Saquon Barkley's a couple hundred yards away from being in the conversation.
I can't see how I don't see them giving it to Henry.
It's true.
There's no way.
Yeah.
One thing I would say is that Buffalo team is quite impressive. I watched them against Kansas City last week. Honestly, now that I'm, I have a family over in America who are all Kansas City Chiefs fans. Obviously, I have a soft spot for Kansas City, But I was really impressed with how Buffalo Bills dealt with Kansas. Especially, what worries me, what's good and bad about Kansas City right now is that they're winning games, but they're not winning it in a decisive fashion. But then part of me goes to, okay, you're winning, but you're not winning great. That's the sign of a champion. That's what we've been taught our whole time enjoying sports, is that winning is the most important thing in sports. Winning is winning, but it also worries me as well sometimes where you see a team that is just scraping through results. They're getting lucky here and there, like against oh gosh, I can't remember. It was the game before Buffalo where they lost based off a missed kick or a block down kick. Can't remember the team.
Denver.
That was Denver. Was it Denver? Yeah, it was Denver.
Yeah, Chiefs Denver. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't have too many more of those. But I agree with you, Adam. If you want to win the Super Bowl, you got to be. You know what?
Looking at his record now. So for context, Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 15 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So if he keeps that going, they're not getting to the Super Bowl. But yeah, they're finding a way to win ugly. But he seems to be throwing a lot more interceptions this year. So
his form's dipped a bit. It's dipped a little bit.
Yeah. And it feels like they've invested. The wide receiver room is better this year. So either he's taking.
But yeah, they got D-Hop, innit?
He got D-Hop as well. Yeah. D-Hop. So either he's taking more risk. Things are just not clicking, or maybe like guys are aging. Maybe Kelsey.
But bro, that's scary in itself though, because think about it, right? Okay, he's not playing to his level. They're 8-1.
Yeah,
they're 8-1, and he's not even playing to his level.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do for the second half of the season now? Because we're at the halfway point. What are they going to do for the next 7 games? They've got 7 games to go. He's not performing. They've just picked up D-Hop. D-Hop's not even warm yet. Bro, that's why I think this. I think they're going to win it. They're going to win Super Bowl again.
And I think they have a really elite defense as well, which is probably what's keeping them at their current 8-1 record, right? Is that the fact that they have such an incredible defense that's keeping them in games late. So yeah, look, boys, let's see what let's see what happens. You know.
Yo, I want one question. Who's your favorite player to watch in NFL right now?
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
So for me, Saquon, but I'm actually going to be watching the game, the Chargers versus the Ravens on Monday. So I'm going to watch that live at the arena. So for me,
That's
for me, but obviously Barkley has done some crazy things this year, like audacious things. But for me, I'm looking forward to watching Lamar live because it feels like every game you're going to see magic.
Boys, Adam, bro, we've enjoyed having you on today. We will probably spend next time we get you on, we'll spend some more time on the NFL because
I enjoyed being on.
Area specialties, but thank you so much for joining us, bro. I know the fans are gonna enjoy this one. Hey, for the beat. Good. As always, bro, it's been a beautiful one. Enjoy LA. The next time we do this, I want to see you on the beach, the coladas. Hey,
don't be surprised you see me chilling with Kendrick and that. Does it to not like us in the music video, bro?
Forget that one.
Doing the crip walk.
Yeah, bro. Just wearing my colors.
All right, boys. On that note, that's the sports after party. We'll see you later.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass. And yeah, I know I'm not a keeper, but can you be my mama seater by the time I'm done with